Hi, I'm Steve Sample with Bama Talk. Don't miss a single episode of Bama Talk Show, available now on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app, and on the web at bigbrainsmedia.com.
This is your Weather Xtreme video for Saturday, May the 25th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Thanks for tuning in, and there's a look at some beautiful skycam shots this morning. There's Birmingham. A few high cirrus clouds passing as we're seeing the sun rising. Another beautiful sunrise shot, again with some cirrus clouds up at Hamilton High School. And then couldn't help but catch this shot down at Dauphin Island as we're looking off to the eastern sky. But also enjoy this one as the moon is setting as we look off to the west at Gulf Shores. So a nice assortment of skycam pictures this morning. High pressure centered over the Ohio River Valley is making its influence felt across the southeastern United States. And in the upper atmosphere, we're dealing primarily with a ridge that is going to be keeping our weather warm and dry for the next 7 days, pretty much so. And you can see a lot of thunderstorms out in the Central Plains states, and that's where they're going to stay. Temperatures across the United States actually have warmed up very nicely. Still a little cool in the Ohio River Valley, where they're in the 30s this morning, although not seeing any 32-degree or freezing values across the country. Across central Alabama, temperatures have dropped back into the lower 50s for the most part, with some 40-degree readings, especially as you get a little north of Birmingham and up into the Tennessee River Valley. Tomorrow morning, expect temperatures to be just a little bit warmer. And if you want the 7-day forecast, or at least the 5-day forecast, there's the 5-day QPF, and that pretty much tells the story right there. Expect everything to be pretty dry, as much of the westerlies are off to our north and the storms out to the west. Speaking of storms, slight risk is forecast by the Storm Prediction Center, stretching up into the, I guess you'd call that the northern plains, from parts of the North and South Dakota down across Nebraska and into extreme northwestern Kansas. Day 2, that area pretty much in sort of the same location, stretching from eastern Montana across down into much of Nebraska. And then day 3, still in that same area, but a little finger stretching all the way down into the vicinity of Lubbock and West Texas. The eastern Atlantic, of course, hurricane season begins soon, but in the eastern Pacific, we're looking at a couple of areas. Nothing expected to develop very quickly. As you can see, only 10 and 20% chance of either of those areas. The 06 GFS model run this morning. And there's our upper air chart for tomorrow, Sunday. And you can see that ridge moving over our area. And underneath that, we have basically surface high pressure settling into the southeastern U.S. and settling in actually to the southwestern Atlantic. So the Bermuda High making its influence felt right away. We see the ridge pretty strong on Monday, but we also have a little disturbance moving through. I don't think the atmosphere is going to be wet enough for any precipitation, but we'll probably see some passing clouds. The ridge still being felt on Tuesday and Wednesday. Not much change there as the ridge is gradually moving off to the east just a little bit. When we get out to Thursday, we can see the high centered basically over the coastal area of North Carolina, so still the weather staying dry for us, whereas much of the action is out to the northwest of central Alabama. By Friday, we're beginning to see that storm kick out of the central plains states and that upper low kicking out of the plain states, so that's going to be bringing a front across Missouri and Oklahoma. And in addition to that, we're noticing the GFS doing a lot of kind of showery activity across the tropics. And again, this is for Friday the 31st of May, so that's the last day before hurricane season starts. The upper low and trough move across into the western Great Lakes on Saturday, and that will be dragging a cold front, and that's going to be the first indication. And right now we're still saying Saturday is going to be dry, but that's the first indication of any precipitation in the next 7 days. And also notice that there's a great deal of let's just say shower activity across the tropics, according to the GFS. Now, moving out into voodoo country, and there's a look at the upper air chart for 18Z. That's 1 p.m. on June 5th, and certainly the ridge making its presence known, stretching from West Texas all the way up across into the western Great Lakes. But also there's a little bit of a weakness across Florida. That weakness becomes exaggerated and actually goes into a closed low by 18Z on the 9th. This is looking like the possibility of some sort of tropical mischief. Now, I'm not going to stick my neck out and say that we're going to have a tropical storm Andrea, but indeed, the possibility. As I recall, though, last weekend, we were talking much the same activity for June 1st. Okay, it's voodoo country. Well, thanks for tuning into the Weather Xtreme video. Expect to have the next one posted first thing on Sunday morning. In the meantime, I hope that your beginning to Memorial Day weekend is a good one, and Godspeed.
Thank you for trusting us to be your #1 source for news
in all of Central Alabama.
in back-to-back ratings periods.
More people watched ABC 3340
than any other station in Birmingham.